Today it is getting real because I am going to share with you the 4 things that helped me make the transition from stressed out corporate lawyer to building a 6-figure lifestyle business in my sweats. Now, if you're in a situation where you don't love what you're doing, or you're seeking more meaning, more fulfillment, more purpose, or you don't feel like you fit into your current work culture, please keep watching because this one is for you. So here's my timeline of events. While I was in business school, I decided to go to law school. And a big reason I decided to do that was because I felt like I should either be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or an accountant. And since I'm not good at math or science, law seemed to be the one and only choice. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't regret going to law school. I actually really enjoyed my experience, but it was everything that happened after I graduated that led to me deciding to leave the profession altogether and start my own business. So when I was a student in law school, I got a summer job at one of Canada's top tier law firms. And what sticks out to me about that experience is how I felt like I just didn't fit in. I felt like I couldn't really be myself there, that I had to put on a mask in order to fit into the current culture so that I could succeed there. And this is not a slight on that particular firm, because after I quit law, I started a legal recruitment company, and I have spoken to over 1,000 lawyers over the years, and I know that this is not just particular to that firm. So going back to my timeline, I'm there, I'm working as a summer student, and I'm just feeling like I don't belong. Then I come back as an articling student, and everything is basically confirmed. I had one of the lowest years of my life. My relationship suffered, my health suffered, my mental health suffered, but I learned a lot. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I worked with some very bright minds and amazing people. I learned a lot about myself. I gained a lot of valuable skills, but what ended up coming out of it was completely different than what I thought I would get going in. Now, one of the reasons that I felt so sad and depressed during that year was that my core values were being triggered. And I didn't know that then, but I know that now. And that's why I'm making this video, is because I wish I had this information when I was trying to navigate what was actually happening. And the thing about core values is that you may not know what your core values are until you're put into a situation where they're actually being triggered. So now I know that one of my core values is surrounding myself with people that light me up. There's a quote that I love by Will Smith. He said this on Instagram: "The people that you spend your time with will make or break your dreams." And I truly believe that. When you're in a corporate environment, a lot of the time you can't choose who you have to work with. And I had to work with a senior associate who decided that it was okay to hit on me while we were working late over Christmas holidays. So I was already not happy. And that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, because it was up until that point that I sort of had let certain things slide in terms of feeling like I was working too much, not having balance, not fitting in. All of these things were stacking up, and then that happened, and that was it for me. Speaking of balance, that's another core value that I now know that I have. Specifically, setting my own hours and working on my own terms. I am completely okay with putting in extra time, working late, working on weekends. As an entrepreneur now, I do that all the time. But the difference is I'm doing that on my own terms. It's my own decision, and I'm building something for myself. Now, that same senior associate, I told him months in advance that I needed to take one weekend for a destination wedding in Palm Springs. I reminded him, and I reminded him, and I reminded him some more. Yet, when we stopped off in our layover, I checked my emails, and lo and behold, I had work from him. He decided to disregard all of the reminders that I gave him and just send me the work to do. So we land in Palm Springs, everybody jumps in the pool, wedding festivities begin, and I am in the lobby working on a file. So my tip is to know and honor your core values. What are your boundaries? When is enough enough. They are your core values for a reason. These are the things that are very important to you and for the most part tend to stay stable throughout your life. If you're in a situation that's making you feel anxious, sad, depressed, ask, am I upset because this isn't in line with my core values? Am I being triggered because this isn't in line with my core values? And if the answer to that is yes, then you have to decide when enough is enough. Nobody is going to do that for you, unfortunately. When I look at the things that were triggering me then and the things that I stand for now and have tried to implement into my business, they're one and the same. All right, so moving on in the timeline, I'm articling, this happens. We come back home, Matt and I are planning our wedding. We're also planning to buy a house in the suburbs. As we're sitting there and trying to figure all of this out, at one point we were watching a documentary. I don't remember what the documentary was, but it definitely left an impact on us and made us think, what are we doing all of this for? Is this what we really want? Do I want to continue being a lawyer? Does Matt want to continue being an engineer? If we were both unhappy at our jobs, and if we get into a big mortgage, more likely than not, we're gonna be stuck in those jobs trying to pay those bills. So instead, we decided to quit our jobs. So I finished my articling year and we quit on the same day, July 15th, 2011 was our freedom day, as we like to call it. We celebrated and we took off backpacking through Southeast Asia and India to just distance ourselves from the influences that we have at home, to give ourselves freedom to start thinking outside of the box, and most importantly, to start connecting to ourselves, figuring out what it is that we really wanted. So this brings me to my second tip, which is to spend some time at a retreat or in solitude. Now, you don't have to take a 6-month backpacking trip like Matt and I did. Even a weekend away to spend some time in silence, in solitude, to go within, to block out all of the noise. I mean, when you're in your day-to-day routines and there's so much going on and you're talking to the same people, you tend to fall into a little bit of a groove. Some call that a rut. Sometimes it's just a groove. But taking yourself out of that completely and spending some time alone or spending some time in a new environment can really help to shake you out of that groove and get you back to listening to your gut and figuring out what it is that you really want. Now, when you start taking steps, you start spending time in silence and you start opening yourself up to new possibilities and you start figuring out what you want. There are going to be things that change, and most of all, what's going to change is you. So my third tip is to allow yourself to change. We can get very tied to labels. So for example, in my situation, being attached to the label of lawyer, because when I tell people I'm a lawyer, immediately I feel that I get some sort of respect. It's very easy to get used to that feeling. So disconnecting from any labels that you might have that tie you to the current job that you're in. Also allowing yourself to break some of the expectations that others might have of you as you change, because the people that you surround yourself with, your family, your friends, they know you one way and they not intentionally will try to keep you in that mold because that's just what they know. When you start doing the inner work and you start looking at transformation and changing things about yourself and about your situation, it might be a little bit difficult for the people around you to understand. And for me, that had to do a lot with the expectations of my parents, because they were very proud of me for going to law school and graduating and getting into a top tier firm. So now that I all of a sudden was going to up and quit and go backpacking, that was really hard for them to take. Bless their hearts, they were still very supportive and allowed me to do what I had to do, but at the same time, I could tell that they were afraid for me, and this was just totally outside of the box for them. I mean, especially as immigrants, my dad is from Trinidad, my mom is from Guyana. They came to Canada, they built their lives from the ground up. To them, Their core values are security and stability, and understandably so. They came to Canada and they made very good lives for themselves and for me and my brother. But it's definitely a generational difference, because in our day and age, there are so many opportunities to do things online, to do things that aren't traditional career paths, and so it was really hard for them to understand. But I had to be okay with not meeting their expectations and not seeking validation from them. Another expectation that you might not meet is your own expectations of yourself. That definitely happened to me, because we went backpacking and I had an idea. I decided to create an online meditation program for lawyers, which I thought was a great idea because I know I needed that when I was in law. But unfortunately, it was a huge business fail. I had no idea what I was doing, and I definitely let myself down. When you're going through this process of figuring out what it is you want to do, you have to allow yourself the freedom to experiment. And as you let yourself down, as you fail, don't be hard on yourself. The fact that you're failing means that you're trying. And the fact that you're trying means that you will get wherever it is that you want to be. So fail often, and fail proud. So the thing is, it's going to be a tough road. Nobody said that it's going to be easy, but I'm definitely telling you, because I'm here now working from Bali and waking up every day loving what I do. It's a hard road, but it is so worth it. And that brings me to my fourth tip, which is to surround yourself with positive influences and examples of people that have done what you want to do and have succeeded. For me, there were two very important influences. One was Tim Ferriss, the author of 4-Hour Workweek, and the premise of that book is why delay our lives, work really hard, work day and night to only enjoy it when we retire, when we could set up a business that allows us to take mini retirements. So we work in sprints and then we take a mini retirement where we actually get to do things that we would have otherwise deferred until retirement, like traveling. Because of this book, Matt and I have taken little stints away. That was a big reason we decided to do the backpacking trip. It's another reason we decided to move to Montreal to live for a year and a half. And then now we've decided to move away to Bali, with certain periods of living at home in Calgary mixed in between. Now, what I absolutely love about this book is not only that it blew my mind and made me think about working and living in a whole new way, but it also gives you practical tips to help you implement this into your life and into your business. So if you haven't read 4-Hour Workweek, definitely grab it. It is so worth the read. If you've read it already, please let me know in the comments below and let me know if it influenced you as well. The second influence in my life that really helped me navigate some tricky waters through failures, through trying to stop thinking about what people were thinking, through asking myself, what am I doing? Am I crazy? Was leaning on my spiritual coach. And there are many different types of coaches out there. I had a spiritual coach. Shout out to Rosanna. She was huge in helping me figure out some really tough transitions. There's nothing like having somebody that is just fully present with you and just there to talk about you and what you're going through. And that's the big difference between trying to be coached by friends and family and then being coached by somebody that you're actually paying to be there for you. I also have a couple of resources that I want to leave you with. Number one is a list of core values to get you started thinking about what's important to you. So you can find that in the description box below. And I also have a completely free training for you that you can register for that will help you get started finding and attracting your ideal clients for your business. If you haven't yet started your business or don't know what you want to offer, it's also very helpful to help you start building up a list of people, an audience that already knows, likes, and trusts you, so that when you are ready to launch your product or service, you have people to launch it to. And that is huge. That takes time. So my recommendation with that is to start before you're ready. So if that was helpful, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know when I post videos, and I'll see you next time.